see that?
Stop paying these high rents. If your rent is $2,000, $2,500, $3,500, $4,000, you need to make a change now. So as a house rental locator here in New Jersey, we work with clients from all around the country that are relocating to this area to help them find affordable homes. So I speak to future homeowners on a daily basis, and many are telling me that their rents keep going up and up every single month. And what you're doing is you're paying money towards someone else growing their net worth and building equity in their properties, and you're throwing money away. So in this video, we're going to share with you how we are house rental locators and the 4 ways you can find rent-to-own homes in your area now. Let's get started. Rents are crazy right now. $2,500, $2,900, $3,500, $5,500, $6,000, and much more. Just to rent an apartment that you don't even own. So what if I told you that it's a better path to home ownership that you can start now? And that path is finding a house that you can actually rent and also learn how to rent to own your home. And it's faster than you think. And we're going to show you 4 ways that you can find rent-to-own homes. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you my secret list for this month that you can get to be able to start your rent-to-own journey now. Most families are stuck in a vicious cycle of high rent, high overhead, high costs, and zero home ownership. The average rent in the US right now is bottoming out at $1,900 per month. Most people can't afford groceries. Most people are literally choked because mentally, every single day, all they're thinking about is how they're gonna keep a roof over their head. This is not the American dream that was promised. And I'm seeing this from all around the country. Families are struggling. And one of the biggest problems of how they're struggling and why they're struggling is because they're trying to afford simply where they live. So renting actually has now become really expensive and really difficult for most people to cope. And we've discovered a secret strategy of how to actually have life, get your life back, how to have your family be happy, have a backyard where you can run around, your children can play with, how to be in a good school system, how to have a double wide driveway where you can actually park your cars, you can have trees, you can actually see the leaves, you can watch the sun, watch the sky, and have a better life and better quality life which you deserve. So with the average rent being $1,900 per month, that's $22,800 per year, which means over the 5-year period that covers is $114,000 gone. That's money that you earned, that you worked hard for, that you simply gave away by renting. So the first way to find rent-to-own homes is to search off-market properties. Now, if you work a full-time job, you have a family, this is kind of difficult to do because where do you start? If you're looking around your area, you're going to work every single day, how do you start to find properties that are off-market? Off-market meaning that they're not openly available. They're nowhere you can find them online. You can't find them really offline without actually having sources. So it may be a little bit of a difficult task to be able to find off-market homes. But many rent-to-own homes are actually available off-market. And that's simply because I've shared this here many times on my channel in the past, that in the US, over 40% of homes are owned free and clear. So there are many owners that actually have properties with equity sitting in them. And many of those owners are absentee owners, meaning that they do not live in the property. They live in another state. And in some cases, they live in state, they just don't live in the property. So like this property, for example, that we're sitting in right now, this is an absentee owner home. This property here is actually been sitting empty. And now just imagine if there's an owner who actually has a property similar to this and they're still paying a mortgage on it. That person is actually spending money every single month to be able to maintain the home. Specifically in the Northeast, where we actually have all 4 seasons, they have to winterize the property, meaning that they have to constantly come and check on the property to make sure that the pipes are not going to be frozen, causing a flood. They have to maintain the landscaping of the property to avoid getting a fine for overgrown grass. So as we came to this particular property, there was a big lawnmower right in the front. And these are all signs that there's a maintenance struggle or there's a maintenance weight. This is something that they get up every single day they have to think about. They have to maintain the taxes on the property. There's a burden carrying these properties, especially if they're out of state. So many times these owners want to actually, they may want to keep the properties just for a few more years to be able to see what they're going to do. It could be a family decision where they're deciding on what they're going to be doing, and many times they will actually be open to rent to own these homes. So one of the ways that you can actually start to actually go after or find these people off market is by going on Zillow and looking at properties that are owner finance properties or seller finance properties. So these are people who actually, like I just shared, they have the equity. They don't have so much debt on the property. So they're able to actually give owner financing. They can be the bank in this case to be able to help you to be able to get into the home. This is one option. You need to be able to go to Zillow, find these properties that are owner finance. They put themselves out there for that, and then reach out to them and start the process of negotiation. Talk to them, see if they're open to actually work with you and your family in getting into the property on a rent to own basis. Now there's a way to actually go about, and there's a script to speak to them about what to say, what trigger words to say that would actually promote what you're looking to do, which is rent to own. Get your family out of an apartment, an expensive apartment, and into a house like this. This particular house has 3 levels and it has a total of 6 bedrooms. Now what we're seeing more and more is bedroom counts matter. Many families need more bedrooms because they're consolidating and putting their families together. I've spoken about this over this last several years, and I talked about this starting in 2020, that you're going to see a lot more families consolidating because the cost of living is going to go up, and it's happening now. So this is something that you can do as far as your first way to be able to start the process of finding rent-to-own homes, going after off-market properties by reaching out directly to owner finance owners that are absentee, that do not live in the state. Now the second way to find rent-to-own homes is to work with flexible sellers. So these are people who are tired landlords. These are people who are downsizers. They really just are maybe tired of the property. It could be from maintenance. It could be from just wear and tear over the years. We've dealt with tired landlords that have had properties for 25, 30 years. And these people, they're looking for easier quality life. A house can be a lot to maintain. A house can be like a baby. If you own real estate, you know what I'm talking about. You have to consider many things. You have to consider the house upkeep. You have to consider making sure that things are paid on time. You have to consider things that happen when their weather changes. If there's a flood, if there's a hurricane, depending on your area. But many things are actually shaping up what is causing home ownership to become more either convenient for people these days or inconvenient. And what you want to do is you want to find sellers who are really over it, meaning that they're probably aged out and they want to downsize, or they're tired. Maybe they actually own a multifamily, like we teach you guys how to find duplex rent-to-own homes. They want to get out. They want to relocate. They want to go closer to family that's elsewhere. So there are many reasons. Those people are actually targets, and they're key to be able to locate and engage to be able to rent to own the home to you and your family, getting you out of an apartment, getting you out of a rental, and getting you onto the path of home ownership via rent to own. Now we can show you how to find these flexible sellers. In many cases, we show you how to do that through their mortgages. What that means is there are sellers who actually have multiple mortgages on homes. In some cases, they have 1, 2, and even 3. We've even seen sellers that have 4 mortgages against a home. And many times those people could be motivated, and there's a way that we actually share with you and show you how to actually approach them and how to find this information out. How do you find out if they have multiple mortgages on their home? Now, these first 2 ways are not as easy as the next 2 ways. So the next 2 ways may intrigue you. So you want to listen up and pay close attention of how to actually use these next 2 ways to find your rent-to-own home. Number 3 is to use rent-to-own realtors. I've spoken about this here many times on my channel. We are rent-to-own realtors here in New Jersey, and we actually help families. We help people that are corporate people that are families, people that are coming into the area from New York, Connecticut, and they're relocating. We help them to be able to get into homes for rent and also rent to own homes. So this is one of your easiest ways to be able to find rent to own homes, because rent to own realtors are sources. They know where the properties are. They know what landlords are motivated. They know what landlords or what sellers are tired. They know actually what properties may fit your family's criteria as far as the layout of the property. This particular property has a living room, a dining room. As you can see here, I'm in the kitchen. It has a spiral staircase, really nice. Above me is a really nice room and a nook where you can actually have family gatherings. It's like a family movie room. And these amenities, rent-to-own realtors like us know, because we know what's in the properties. We know the exterior, we know the interior, we know the areas to avoid. We want to make sure that you're avoiding areas that are flood areas, because when you're going into your rent-to-own home, this is an asset. So you want to make sure that you're buying something that your family can grow in long term, because the rent-to-own is actually just for a term until you exercise your option to purchase it. If you're going to be doing a lease purchase or you're going to be doing a lease option. Now, I've shared about this here on my channel, and I've spoke to you about what those are, and this is actually one of the best ways for you to make it easy for you to get into your rent-to-own home by starting to work with rent-to-own realtors that are in the know. They know the local area. They know who actually needs to sell. They know who actually needs to hold on to the property and is open to rent-to-own. And in our case, we also work with banks. So banks have portfolios, and they have properties in their portfolio that they are not ready to sell off yet. They're not going to keep the property, but they want to rent it out in the interim. And so we actually have those banks as clients, and they give us those portfolios and they give us those properties to be able to put out, and we put it out via rent to own. And the last way to find a rent to own home is to tap into our rent to own list. So we actually have a private rent to own list that we update in our challenge, and you can actually access this list, and that's a really quick on-ramp for you to be able to find rent to own homes. If you're trying to figure out and see, well, maybe I'm in this location, are there rent to own homes? Is it even possible? Where can I find them? You can just simply use our private rent to own list to be able to get jump started, to be able to see, oh, well, this particular street, this particular area, this particular county has rent to own homes, and this fits what my needs are for me and my family. I like the school system. I like the shopping that's nearby. I like the location because I can get to work easily. These are all factors that come into play when it comes to people's lifestyle and making sure that they have the opportunity to be able to get out of the struggle of renting and paying money out on properties that they don't own, that they're never going to get a return on, and get into a place where they can start to rent to own, with a trajectory of actually owning that property and exercising their option to buy it a year or 2 years down the line. So our rent to own list is actually updated. We update it frequently every single week, and in some cases we update it daily depending on what comes in, because we're working with so many different sources of rent to own and so many different sources and sellers. We actually work with properties that in some cases never hit Zillow. You're never going to see these on Realtor.com. These are actually private network. And these are properties that are available via our network for rent to own. So you can get this by simply tapping into our rent to own list, and we make that easy for you as house rental locators to be able to get and find your next rent to own home. So let me give you an example of the benefit and the value of rent to own. Let's say you find a duplex home that you can rent to own, and it's $250,000. And your monthly mortgage payment is $1,850. Well, you can live in one unit and rent out the other unit for $1,200, which means your net cost is going to be around $650. Imagine that. You're going to be living for less than most people as far as your biggest expense, your biggest overhead on a monthly basis, simply because you have this strategy and utilizing this strategy. And you can use rent to own for single family homes, you can use rent to own for duplex homes, you can use rent to own for residential homes, and rent to own is used in many different industries, even in commercial. So this is something that is not new. This is something that's been around for a long time. You just have to be exposed and learn how to strategically use it to your advantage. This is actually the way to actually live affordably. If you can get and know how to actually find rent to own homes, specifically multifamily rent to own homes or single family rent to own homes that have the proper structure, the proper layout for your family, that can work. So like in this particular property, like I just shared, it has 3 levels. It has many, many bedrooms, and you can actually utilize this to not only have your family in it, but also rent out space if you decide to and make money from it, because this particular property has an additional adjoining ADU to it. So there are many strategies that you can actually attach and use if you find the right rent to own home, and it's all based off the benefit of learning how to find and work with the right people to help you find your rent to own home. So imagine 6 months from now, things are different. 6 months from now, you're not struggling to pay rent. You're not struggling to wondering where you're going to go. Your children actually have to relocate their school, or something's happened in a local area where you need to relocate, but you're stuck because you feel like wherever you move to, it may be more expensive rent, and you don't want to make a change. Well, rent to own is the best option for you. So you can actually start this journey and learn how to start this process today by simply joining our rent to own challenge. So it's the 27-day rent to own challenge. During that challenge, you're going to learn many things. You're going to work with rent to own realtors to start the process of helping you and your family get into a rent to own home and get into a house that you can actually call your own in the future by simply taking the rent to own challenge. So in the challenge, we have our private rent to own list We also have scripts that you can actually use to talk to your rent-to-own realtor, as well as rent-to-own owners, people who are actually open to rent-to-own their property. We also give you a daily step-by-step roadmap that you can actually follow. You're also going to be tied in with our network and our house rental locator network to be able to help you find your home. Stop paying these high rents. It's only going to get worse. The U.S. is becoming a renter nation, and you need to shift. Move from renting to home ownership. Learn how to actually start to build equity. Learn how to actually start to build your net worth. But most importantly, how to give your family a stable future. This is what you need to do. So if you'd like to learn more and get tapped in and learn how to actually start the process or connect with us to start the rent-to-own process, make sure you join the 27-day rent-to-own challenge. Simply click the link below. You can also reach out to me anytime. My email address is AskRindeNetwork@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.